And are you Austin Moore?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We had two petitions filed. The first one in 24 DM 39 did not have the detail that was in the petition in 29 or 24 DM 49. The first one, 39, was filed February 29th and then refiled with more detail on March 11th. The court would propose we simply dismiss the 24 DM 39 and proceed on the 24 DM 49. Any objection to that, Ms. Casey?
Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Moore?
No, sir.
Okay, the 24 DM 39 is dismissed and will proceed solely on 24 DM 49. Okay, and that was filed on March 11th, 2024, and the court did issue some temporary orders with that petition. Have you received a copy of the petition, Mr. Moore?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, and it shows that you were served on March 12th of 2024.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we are here today on the motion for the protection from stalking order to be issued. Mr. Moore, are you wanting a hearing on this matter?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Casey, you'll need to present your evidence. Who would you like to have testify first? Yourself or someone else?
Myself.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear and or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the penalties for perjury in the state of Kansas.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you currently in the state of Kansas?
Yes.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Okay, Ms. Casey, in detail, explain to me why you believe you are in need of a protection from stalking order.
So I broke up with Austin Moore on February 15th. We've been together for about 4 months. After that, I blocked Austin on all social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. As soon as we broke up, he started to message all my friends from school, anybody that I had close contact with. These messages were excessive and multiple phone calls were made from Austin. Also, on February 15th, Austin drove past my work a few times while I was at work that day. On February 15th, about 9 p.m., I got out to my car to leave work at TK Smokehouse, and there was a note left on my car from Austin. And then I didn't hear from him for a while, and then he started to message my parents and call them nonstop. On 2-18, I got a missed call from Austin Moore from Roadway Inn. He left me a voicemail stating that he wanted me to talk to him, that he loved me, and that I should give him a call on his regular phone. This is when I started to see that he displayed obsessive type behavior and can't move on after being informed of the breakup. On 2/26 at 9 a.m., I got a phone call from the Hasty Police Department where Austin stated to Officer Bartlett that I was harassing him. The officer stated that we should have no contact with each other on social media, phone, or in person. On 2/26, Austin sent messages to both employers on Facebook saying that my work should have never hired me because I'm picking on someone with a disability and that he knows a lot of people. On 2/26 at 7:41 p.m., Austin made a fake Snapchat profile impersonating a B. Richard Morris. He was asking how I was doing and that he was worried about me. In the messages, he stated who he actually is, and I got a picture of the top of his head that he sent me. He was asking that we should talk. He also tried to call me off that fake profile at 8 p.m. We took screenshots of the whole chat and then blocked the account. On February 27th at 10:35 a.m., Austin created another fake profile impersonating Anthony Dino, asking why we broke up and asking why we couldn't talk. He also states that I used him in the messages, which I never did. On February 27th at noon, Officer Bartlett came over to get pictures that I had from my Snapchat and asked questions and said they would go talk to Austin in person. On February 27th, the officer said 2 officers had a talk with Austin. He understood about the no contact. 122 on 227, Austin started to follow the J Studio and Salon page on Facebook. 227 at 1:28 p.m., Austin created another fake profile, but I was able to block it before he sent me any messages. On 227 at 9:11 p.m., Austin or his friend decided to make another fake profile under Harley Holler on Snapchat. She stated that she was one of Austin's ex and also was asking why we broke up. On 229, I had multiple of my friends send me screenshots of videos that Austin posted on social media, like TikTok videos with my pictures on it, messages of him trying to get my friends to get me to talk to him. In one of the messages, he talks about what if I try to kill myself. He also says, now I have had it. I'm not the stupid one. She can go fuck herself. I gave her everything she wanted. She's being an ungrateful brat. On 3-2 at 5 p.m., Austin was spotted at the end of our block in our neighborhood sitting behind some trees. On 3-4 at 11:48 p.m., I had 2 unknown calls back to back, so I decided to call Hayes Police Department and inform them about the situation, and they said they would go talk to Austin. On 3-5 around 8 p.m., Austin was spotted again near our neighborhood. On 3-6 around 7 p.m., Austin was spotted driving past my work. On 3-7 around noon, Austin was spotted in our neighborhood again. On 3-8 around 9:15 a.m., Austin was spotted driving past Laura's work. On 3-9, Laura went out with her friends to Arcade 11 around 10 p.m. Austin showed up to the arcade about midnight, and then we decided to leave the arcade. When we went over to the sip and spin after, and we were there till about 2 a.m., but Austin decided to show up to the sip and spin while we were there. When we left the sip and spin, he was outside waiting for us. So I went to the arcade and waited till he left the area. And then I had a friend take me home, got pulled over because her headlights were out. So then the officer asked us what we were doing, and they asked me to come down to the station for questioning. And I left there about 4 or 5 a.m. And then they informed me that Austin was arrested. On 3-10 around 10 p.m., Laura was asked to come down to the station for more questioning and sign a paper to let them look through her phone. On 3-12, Laura was granted a temporary protection order against Moore. On 3-14, Austin was spotted near our neighborhood around 9:15 a.m., and I informed the cops about the situation. On 3:15, Laura was told to pack her stuff up at work, and she was informed she was no longer an employee at J Studio due to a situation with her ex. The harassment interferes with not only my personal life, but now has extended to my work life and now threatens my livelihood.
Miss Casey, you need to explain to me if you are in fear and why. Fear for your personal safety.
I'm not trying to ruin Austin Moore's life, but I feel like to this point, I feel like I can't really even go out with my friends anymore because he just follows us the whole time. But I just kind of want things to move on to where I'm able to actually go out with my friends and not have to worry about him following me around or me going places, him following me around.
Really? Okay, let me back up just a little bit here. Miss Casey, you're representing yourself in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
You intend to represent yourself in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Moore, you're representing yourself in this matter?
Yes, sir.
And it is your intention to represent yourself in this matter?
Yes, sir.
And you have no intention of hiring an attorney at this time?
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe?
We don't know yet.
Okay. Well, are you wanting to proceed with the hearing or are you wanting to hire
Yes,
an
sir.
attorney?
We can proceed with the hearing.
Okay. You now, Mr. Moore, have a right to cross-examine Ms. Casey, do you have questions for her about her testimony?
On February 24th, me and her went to the basketball game. And she told me that her parents didn't know we were hanging out again. I told Laura, I said I could take you home and my sister, pretty much like my
Okay,
sister.
Mr. Moore, you'll get a chance to testify if you want to testify.
Yes.
You're not under oath yet. This is your
Oh, sorry.
time. This is your time to question Miss Casey about her testimony. You have
No.
questions about her testimony.
No questions at all.
Okay. Miss Casey, do you have any other witnesses you'd like to call?
Both of my parents are here if they're able to speak, Your Honor.
Well, that's up to you. Are you wanting to call them as a witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, who would you like to call?
Spencer Casey, my father.
Okay, Mr. Casey, if you could scoot in to where we can see both of you. Mr. Casey, if you'll raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear and or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the penalties for perjury in the state of Kansas.
I do.
Go ahead. Ms. Casey, you can ask your questions of your father. And first thing, Mr. Spencer Casey, spell your first name.
Spencer.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Casey.
Well, my father actually was the one that spoke with Austin when we got multiple phone calls and harassment messages. And I mean, I kind of want him to tell like his side of the story of things, I guess.
Okay, so you're asking him to tell what he knows about this situation.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Casey.
And Judge Drees, I just want to say that, after Laura's breakup with Austin, Mr. Moore, he continued to text my wife on her cell phone on multiple occasions, and we let this go on. We figured that there would be some feelings of ill will, how breakups are with young people. So it went on, but it became to the point where he looked up my phone number and started to text me at the same time, wanted to know why Laura broke up with him and, why we didn't support him. And I reached a point where I thought that it was beyond excessive. I felt concern for Mr. Moore. I was worried about his mental state, to be honest with you. So I contacted him directly. I called him. I had a conversation with him and asked him if it would be okay to impart some advice to him, and he said yes. So I basically told the young man that, relationships don't always last, and that Laura does have the right to break up with him and move on in her life. And I strongly suggested to him that he just breathe and take a breath and get some exercise and maybe go out and talk to some mentors of himself. He talked commonly about Coach Brown at Fort Hays State University as being somebody that he could rely on. So I encouraged him in that phone call to reach out to Coach Brown, to talk to him about this problem, to find a good network of friends and find some things in his life that would be positive. And he seemed to understand what I was saying to him. And again, we want no ill will for Austin Moore. We want him to be happy. We want him to live a good life. We just want him to do that independent of our own in this household. So, Judge, I just letting you know clearly that I do have concerns about his state and his well-being. I think that, he does need a mentor. He needs somebody that can help him through life. I mean, I know he doesn't have parents that are close. Somebody that could give him some guidance would be wonderful. And that's all I wanted to say in this matter.
And do you have any concerns for your daughter's safety?
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm seeing a repeated pattern of this type of behavior that hasn't stopped in the last 2 months. It seems a little excessive to me. I would hope by this point that we would see, a drawdown in those things, but that has not been the case to my understanding.
Anything else? Any other questions of him, Miss Casey?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, do you have any questions of Mr. Spencer Casey?
No, sir.
Okay. Miss Laura Casey, do you have any other witnesses?
No.
Pardon me?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Austin Moore, did you want to testify?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear and/or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the penalties for perjury in the state of Kansas.
Yes, sir.
And are you currently in the state of Kansas?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Okay. Mr. Austin Moore, what do you want to tell me about this situation?
Well, to be honest, the day when I was behind those trees, I'll tell you exactly where I was at, Honor. I was at Kelly Kinky's house talking to him and his wife, Ime Kinky. And I seen her dad leaving when I was getting back into my pickup. And her statement saying how she forgot to bring up the point when I was with her on her birthday and everything, how we like, she's always doing this, breaking up with me and getting back together with me. Everything. It messes with somebody's head, to be honest, when they do it that many times, like 4 to 5 times. And to be honest, it just sucks. After she had me thrown in jail this past weekend, I could care less, though, to get her back or anything. Just out to enjoy life now. Am I allowed to have somebody speak on my behalf too?
Well, you can call additional witnesses, but before that, Miss Casey has a right to cross-examine you. Is there anything else, Mr. Moore, that you want to tell me before she cross-examines you?
No, sir.
Okay. Miss Laura Casey, did you want to cross-examine Mr. Moore? Do you have any questions about his testimony for him?
No.
Okay. Mr. Moore, who else did you want to speak?
Mary Gillen.
Sorry, what was the name?
Mary Gillen.
Okay. Is she there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear and/or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the penalties for perjury in the state of Kansas.
I do.
Okay, you can put your hand out. Was that Mr. Moore walking away?
Austin, you come sit down. Just sit down. Okay, he's here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Moore, you can ask questions. And ma'am, I need you to spell your first and last name.
Mary, and then my last name Gilliland.
Okay. Mary Gilliland.
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Moore, you can go ahead and ask questions of Miss Gilliland.
Where was I on February 24th?
So on February 24th, Austin and Laura showed up at the Fort Hayes basketball game together. I was there because I was working at DSMWK and I had 2 of my boys with me. We were sitting up at the top and Laura and Austin came and they were fine. They were enjoying time, took pictures together. And then Austin had asked me if he could take my car to take Laura home because she didn't want her parents seeing that she was with them. And I told him no. If she needed a ride home, I would gladly give her a ride home.
What about February 23rd?
February
Date of her
23rd,
birthday?
it was her
Oh, yeah.
birthday night. Austin had actually given her a necklace. It was like, I don't know, gave her a necklace for her birthday. Austin also went out with them on her birthday, ended up taking her to the ER that night. Laura stayed with Austin in his hotel room that night. And they were together celebrating her birthday and ended up in the ER because Austin was worried about her. So went to the ER. And okay, Austin asked me anything else.
You want to ask Mary about her side of the story, what she knows?
Well, she's your witness, Mr. Moore. You can ask her to testify about
Oh, what
information
about
she
your
knows
side of the
about
story?
the situation.
Yes.
She knows about it really good, Honor.
So Austin, I'm actually kind of his caregiver. He lived with me for about a year and a half. When he met Laura, they seemed to really hit it off, whatever. And then they started, she would break up with him. They get back together. Week later, break up, get back together. It was a back and forth relationship. When they broke up, Austin would ask people to text her, whatever. Laura always came back one way or another. There was the time, I think February 24th, 5th, Laura had messaged me that morning and had said, I'm ending things with Austin. I would like no contact with anybody who knows Austin. I said, okay, I wished her the best and went on with life. Told Austin that. Austin, you need to quit, move on with life. And at that point, Austin was not living with me. But during their relationship, I even had a verbal conversation with Laura and Austin. I had Laura come over to my house. I sat them both down and I told them both, if you guys want to be together, be together. But you guys, this going back and forth is not good for either mental state. It's not good to be in this type of situation. Laura verbally told me, I understand, but I want to work things out with Austin. I want to be with him. I said, okay. So they went back over. They were at Eric Markley's house for a Chiefs game.
The Super Bowl game.
The Super Bowl game.
Yes.
And then there was
Okay,
another.
Mr. Moore, you can ask questions, but you can't help her answer the questions, okay?
No, it was like me about to ask a question.
So Austin was staying at the Roadway Inn through the time after I kicked him out of my house. He did call Laura off the Roadway Inn because Laura told me about it, and I told Laura. At that point, I said, if you are worried, if you're unsafe, do something about it. She never did at that point. She was staying with him at the Roadway Inn. She still had contact with Austin through the Roadway Inn. They hung out a lot when he was out, and this was after February 15th. They were hanging out at the Roadway Inn. They were going out to eat to places. My opinion, I understand where Laura's coming from 100%, but also she was never giving Austin full closure for anything. And the night of the 25th, when she broke up with him before, she had told me even that she wanted Austin to talk to her parents so her parents would understand everything, because that's when her parents didn't know they were hanging out. So I told Austin, I said, that's what she wants to do. You should verbally reach out to her parents and explain. So that's when he did. And then it blew up. I do see where Laura's coming from with the safety and everything, but also she was going back and forth, never giving him the full closure of anything. And she was hanging out with Austin multiple times after she had ended it. And that's all I have.
Mr. Moore, do you have any other questions of Miss Gilliland?
No, Honor. No, sir.
Okay. Miss Casey, do you have questions of Miss Gilliland?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was wondering, why did she kick Austin out of her house?
Well, I had some things that, I mean, he is autistic. He needs that help, and I was here helping him. There were some things that got out of hand. I was getting too busy with work. I couldn't help him anymore. And then the main reason that just pushed me to my limit was he got fired from Hess. He got another job at Roof Masters, I believe.
Okay.
And that Friday, he had told me he was sick, didn't want to go to work. And I said, no, Austin, you need to go to work. And then he said, it's because I'm heartbroken, whatever. And I said, okay, stay home from work. But I told him he wasn't going to do anything that weekend. And then him and Laura had broken up. They weren't speaking at that point, I don't believe. And he was just getting super frustrated. And I just didn't want to be involved with it anymore. I didn't want to handle it because he's not in the right state of mind. He does need that extra help. He can't deal with things he can't deal with a lot of emotions. And when he is put in a situation like this, he doesn't understand how to do it. So that is why I kicked him out of my house.
Any other questions, Miss Casey?
Did you ever fear for your safety when you're around Austin more?
Yeah.
Austin never lay a hand on a woman.
Did you hear me?
Yes, we heard your
Okay.
answer. Any other questions, Miss Casey?
Does Austin have a problem with alcohol, and is he dangerous when he has alcohol in his system?
No.
When Austin drinks, he cannot stop himself. He keeps going, keeps going. There was actually an incident where I had my friends over at my house. Laura had came over. He got frustrated with one of my friends, and Laura had, I think, taken him into his room and tried to calm him down. Austin, I would say he does have a drinking problem. He actually, since he's been in jail, he has not had a sip or a drink of alcohol, and I can definitely see he's not so uptight, I guess. But yes.
Do you think a restraining order is good for both of us?
I think both ways, yes.
And that's it, you're on.
Mr. Moore, do you have any questions of Miss Gilliland based on Miss Casey's questions?
No, but she can tell you one thing, though. I don't believe in hitting women. I don't believe on hurting them. I don't believe in none of that, Order. She can tell you that from one night when I was provoked by
Are
another.
are you asking her that question?
Yes.
Austin, I don't think would ever physically hurt a woman. I don't think he would ever lay a hand on a woman.
He wants me to get my shit beat by one.
I have watched girls at the bars and stuff. Girls would come up to him, get in his face, and he would just get mad and yell. I don't believe Austin would ever physically put his hands on a woman. No.
Any other questions, Mr. Moore?
No, not really, Order.
Okay.
Can I please have one statement, though, before everything's over with?
I have
Well,
one more question.
hang on just a minute, Mr. Moore. We're not finished with this part of the hearing.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Miss Casey.
Mary, did he ever scare you?
Yes.
So very scared.
Any other questions, Miss Casey?
Yes, just give me 1 second. Do you feel like Austin needs help?
I think Austin needs to be somewhere where he can have a counselor. He does need that extra support. I tried. I couldn't help him as he does need somebody with. He does need somebody every day to base his help.
Can the state provide that?
Yes, it can. I believe so, anyways.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Moore?
No water.
Okay. Do you have any additional witnesses, Mr. Moore?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Casey, do you have any rebuttal witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, at this point, you get to make a closing argument. Okay, so I'll start with Ms. Casey. And you don't have to make a closing argument if you don't want to. This is your chance to talk to me before I make my ruling.
I just want to wish more a happy life and hope that things are better for him now.
Okay. Mr. Moore,
I do want to make one thing clear. I, I would never hurt her, never lay a hand on her. Don't believe in that. Don't care. I think if anybody lay a hand on a woman, they should be put to jail for life. But do I still love her? Yes. But do I want to be with her anymore? No. I hope the best of life for her and everything else on her.
yeah. Excuse me.
And I got one more other thing to say, though.
Yes, you may say something else,
Oh,
Mr.
Coach Brown does live in that neighborhood. And when I was behind those trees, I was talking to Kelly Kinky, like I said earlier, and everything.
Okay.
Like he doesn't have much room where I could park at his house. I just parked over there on the side of the road. And pretty sure her dad told her I was there that day, but I was getting into my pickup when I seen her dad from hanging out with Kelly.
Okay.
I actually had a cigarette with Kelly.
Under the Kansas statute, they define stalking as an intentional harassment of another person that places the other person in reasonable fear for their safety. Harassment is defined as an intentional course of conduct directed at a person that seriously alarms, annoys, torments, or terrorizes the person with no legitimate purpose. And they also define course of conduct as two or more separate acts over a period of time, evidencing a continuing purpose which would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress. Mr. Moore, we have a whole litany of behavior that was testified to by Ms. Casey. Some of it you have explanation for. Some of it you did not offer an explanation for, but it includes continuing to, specifically after law enforcement directed you not to have any contact with her. And law enforcement did that both on February 26th through Officer Bartlett, and then again on February 27th with two officers, and they directed you to have no contact. And after that, we still have a series of contact that you had regarding Miss Casey, including the fake profiles trying to contact her. Then when you had friends send multiple screenshots and videos. And then when you were parked at the end of her block, then you were spotted at her two places of employment multiple times. And then we have the situation where you approached her at the Arcade 11 and the Sip and Spin after law enforcement told you not to have contact.
Well, there's a video of me walking right past her at this arcade and everything.
When the officers tell you not to have contact, that means no contact. That means if you walk in and you see her at a place, you turn around and you leave. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And then we have the testimony where you continued to contact her places of employment to the point that her place of employment got fed up and they fired her. Okay? So we do have a repeated pattern and course of conduct over several incidences that would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress. So we have met the definition of stalking, okay?
Yes, sir.
And you need to understand that once you've broken up with a person, you're broken up. That means no more contact, okay? So the court is going to grant the restraining order. Court finds that the plaintiff has proven stalking by a preponderance of the evidence by her testimony and the testimony of her father here today. And while some of it was countered by Mr. Moore, it does not change the fact that you've engaged in a prolonged series of contact with Ms. Casey, specifically after law enforcement directed you not to. Okay?
Well, I got a question. Is this just a one-way? Was it double?
Hang on, I will cover that, okay? I will cover that. Court further finds that based on the behavior, while you say you would never hurt anyone, the course of conduct leads the court to find that you do present a credible threat to her safety. So the court is going to grant the restraining order. Okay. Now, this is as you said, one-way restraining order because I have a petition from Miss Casey to have a restraining order against you. I do not have a petition from you to have a restraining order against her.
I also like to say one more thing.
Well, Mr. Moore, it's my turn to talk, but I will let you make your statement. What do you want to say, Mr. Moore?
So she brought up my fake accounts and everything. Why did she never bring up her fake accounts?
Okay, well, unfortunately, Mr. Moore, you had an opportunity to present your evidence and that was not brought up. So let me continue with my ruling. Okay. And so the court does grant the order of protection from stalking. This order is effective for a period of 1 year, and that will be through March 18th, 2025. Okay. And only a court can change this no contact order. Okay. So there's no just you and Miss Casey agreeing to let it fall by the wayside. The court has issued the order. Only the court can remove the order, Mr. Moore. Okay. I do need to give you some warnings. Okay. This order replaces the temporary order that the court put into effect on March 11th. Okay? Mr. Moore, you are not to have any contact with Miss Casey in any way, shape, or form, directly or indirectly, or through third persons. Okay? You can't have somebody else try to contact her. You can't use a fake social media account to try to contact her. Absolutely no contact. You understand that?
Yes, sir. But I got a question.
What's your
So if she
question?
would make a fake social media account to contact me, I didn't know it's her, and I replied back, hey, or something, I'll still probably get in trouble, wouldn't I?
Yes. So if that were to happen, you need to notify the police, not notify her. Okay? Because you cannot have contact with her.
Okay.
Okay? You cannot follow her. You cannot harass her. You cannot assault her, threaten her, or in any other way stalk her or interfere with her privacy rights or of her family or household. Okay? So if she has a roommate, don't have any contact with her roommate. Don't have any contact with her parents or her siblings. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You cannot use or threaten any physical force that would reasonably be expected to cause bodily harm against the person, nor shall you engage in any conduct that would place her in reasonable fear of bodily harm. Okay?
So am I still allowed to go see like Coach Brown and the people I know around there?
Well, as long as you don't go to her house where she lives or her parents' house,
Oh, she lives
and
with her.
understand that if you're constantly going to her neighbor's house, that's going to give her concern, and rightfully so. So you might arrange to meet those people other than at a house if it's next to her house. And I don't know where Coach Brown lives in relationship to the Caseys. So you might meet him elsewhere. Okay. Now, you are not allowed to go anywhere around her residence or her place of employment. Okay. You're not allowed to in any way communicate with her or her employer or her fellow employers or coworkers. That's not, no, that no contact is direct or indirect. So you can't ask a third person to contact her. So you, for example, you can't ask a friend to contact her employer to contact her. That's still contact from you. Okay? You shall not in any way harass her, telephone or through social media. Okay? Don't even talk about her on social media. Can't post any photographs of her on social media. You understand that?
Yes. How can I make this like a double-sided deal?
Well, in this situation, I can't make it double-sided. It's a situation where she has requested the restraining order against you. If you believe that you have been put in a situation where it's stalking, then you can apply for a protection from stalking. Or if
Okay.
you believe she is harassing you, then you can request a restraining order.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I would caution Miss Casey not to have any contact with you, but I can't order that in this proceeding.
Okay.
But with a no contact order in place, if she intentionally causes you to break it, she could expose herself to some liability, okay?
Yes, sir.
So she'll stay away from you. Because by this case, she's asked that there be no contact between the two of you, okay?
Yeah.
Good. Mr. Moore, I also need to give you some additional warnings.
Yes, sir.
You need to understand that I am signing this order today, so it's effective immediately.
Yes, sir.
And a copy of the order will be placed with dispatch so that law enforcement in Ellis County is aware of it. They'll have access to the restraining order,
Yes, sir.
protection from stalking restraining order, okay? So if you violate this order, that can constitute a violation of certain Kansas laws, including, first and foremost, violation of a protection order. That is a crime to violate a protection order. You understand?
Yes, sir. I was told that when I was in jail.
Okay. If you have direct contact with her, you could be charged with assault and or a battery against her. If you go to her place of employment or her residence, you could be charged with trespassing. Okay? And if you continue to engage in a pattern of behavior towards her, you could be charged criminally with stalking. Stalking is both a civil, where you can obtain a restraining order, but it could also be a criminal offense if you continue to contact her. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, if you violate this order, it could result in the court extending the order for a second year. And if it's a serious violation, the court can extend the order for lifetime. Okay? So don't violate the order. You need to understand that if you violate the order, in addition to it being a potential violation of the law, it is also punishable by contempt of court. So if you violate this court order, you could be placed in jail or fined. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Judge, I have a question after you're done.
Okay. Do you have a concealed carry license?
No, sir.
Okay, because this would affect that. So I would not try to apply for one during this next year, because that's not going to happen while you have this order in place. Okay.
All I got is a bow.
Okay. And while you have this order in place, you could be subject to prosecution for possession of certain weapons. If you are found anywhere around Miss Casey with a weapon, including your bow, then you could be prosecuted for a criminal use of a weapon. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there are federal laws regarding restrictions for firearms when you have a protection order in place. Okay. Do you have any firearms?
No, sir.
Okay. I would not have any during this next year while you're under this restraining order. Okay. Okay. What are your questions, Mr. Moore?
Why can you do so much for a person and they do this to you?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
I said, why can you do so much for a person and they just do this to you?
Okay. Well, Mr. Moore, you're getting into more questions about why do relationships go bad, and sometimes they just do. Okay. There's
house
nothing
is-
that requires two people to start dating and stay together. Dating is a way to figure out if you're compatible, and sometimes you figure out you're not compatible. Okay? And then when the breakup happens, you have to move on. And it's not easy, but you move on.
thousands of dollars.
Mr. Moore, it is time for you to move on, okay?
Oh, I moved on.
Okay. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Moore?
No, not really. To be honest, am I allowed to leave now?
I am signing the order.
Because I really,
That
after I
will-
got out of jail, I
that-
told myself I wasn't going to look at her again, and now I'm looking at her. I'm just ready to leave.
Okay, well, Mr. Moore, please take this serious,
I am taking it serious.
okay? And allow this relationship to be completely over and move on. Okay?
Yeah, I got to go to work.
Okay, do you have any other questions?
Do you have any more questions?
No.
Okay, do you have any questions, Ms. Casey?
Can the judge help assist Austin in state counseling?
Well, at this point, it's up to him to locate some help with some assistance, and I would encourage that, but I'm not going to order that at this time. I would encourage him to contact DSNWK or other agencies that can assist him.
His caseworker is through DSNWK.
Okay,
So,
he should go back to and continue to gain assistance through DSNWK.
okay.
Okay,
I have a question. Am I still allowed to go eat at TK's, just like without Austin? That won't like interfere with anything, will it?
okay, Ms. Casey, you don't see her as a threat?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, yes, you can continue to go to TK's.
Okay. Well, because I have been staying away with all this and I've been really craving TK, so
Okay, you're certainly welcome to go over there, just don't discuss
Yeah.
Mr. Moore,
I won't.
okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you all.